right-hand side here of Eternal Empire. He is the blue Polish Terran player. He does not represent a team, but he is one of the contributing editors of Team Liquid's Liquipedia. It's Ziggy.
And his opponent in the bottom left-hand side in the red, another Polish player representing, oh God, who is Gerald with these days? Is he still with
Exxon, right? He's with Exxon.
Oh, he's with Exxon, that's right, the new pickup from Exxon. It's our Polish player, the Witcher himself. It is Gerald.
Gerald, the most confusing player in the world, because he also goes by Gerald. And for probably 10 years, I thought they were two different players, which is always interesting. Because it really seems to depend on the day what name he's going under, with a D at the end or with a T at the end.
And they're different between regions as well. So if you cast him doing like an NA Cup for some reason, he's Gerald there, but Gerald on the EU. Wildly confusing, but what's not confusing is how good, how gosh dang good this player is. Look, Gerald, as we said earlier, took a game off of Hero Marine in Series 1, and he feels to me like one of these EU players that is not as famous as Big Gabe or Showtime or Laser or Cyril, but who is just a fantastic Protoss player and can be terrifying if he is on his game.
Yeah, completely agree. In terms of how his build has gone so far, he's walled off most of the Reaper Cliff just to slow that down. He slowed down Ziggy's command center by a good 10 seconds, with his probe being very annoying, and he is actually still sticking around here, just sitting in the back being annoying. May come in for that late harass, although the Reaper should be... Ooh, Ziggy didn't make a Reaper. Yes,
yeah, skipping that row. There it is. The Reaper's out. He's moving on, though, after this, straight into Factory. But the probe going to get some nice shots. I feel the Reaper staying back home, which means it won't get as much of a scout, but it will pick off that probe. So Ziggy playing fairly conservatively here. And, I'm a little curious, Grant. What do you think? As we said at the very beginning of the series, Ziggy had mentioned that he wasn't feeling super well, and he was hoping to get this over with quickly. Do you think he's going to go for some sort of two base all-in play this go-around just to get things over with? I always hate to hear when a player is not at 110%.
So far he's played very standard. He's not showing us any signs of that, although look at this bunker with the SC on it.
Don't they look so good? The supply depots, it's this new skin, my man. They're so good.
So
if you look at the splitters, they have SC on it, but it's upside down.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that cool? Typical Terran engineering. Screwing something up every time. Anyway, we got a Twilight Council opener, though, from Gerald on the other side of the map. He's got some Stalkers out. He's starting with Blink, which is a great build, and he's chronoing Blink out now. That is really interesting. Say some more about that, Grant.
Yeah, so I think he wants to get Blink in terms of a more defensive opening. I can't see right now with the amount of gates we're looking at, which is 1, with only 1 being added as of right now. 2 more being added, okay. If he goes up to 4 gate, we'll be looking at a bit more aggression, but 3 gate Blink, very standard. Putting the chrono into Blink is very safe. Right now, he could be chronoing out a few extra workers, but I think he's probably wary of an attack. Sure. And that is why he's going for that option, especially because our Terran players did say he was feeling a little sick. And our Terran player is going for something a little bit cheeky as well here, with Cloak Banshees on the way.
Oh, it's so good to see Cloak Banshees back in the rotation. There were a couple months there where Cloak Banshees weren't as popular with our Terran players, where they were skipping those Banshees in favor of just cranking out, extra Vikings or going straight into Liberator, whatever they really wanted to do. But I love that Cloak Banshees are getting more and more popular here in the last couple of days. Nice grenade there from the Reaper, almost blowing out those 2 Stalkers, but one of them, luckily, gets blown backwards, sealing up that gap. Those Hellions not going to get anything done, and now they're just going to play defensive, trying to block out that 3rd base. Aren't those Mad Max Hellions just amazing looking?
So sick, man.
Now,
I'm
Grant,
actually so impressed.
Can I admit something to you?
Oh, no.
And I'm going to lose some nerd cred right here.
Have you never seen Mad Max?
That's not true.
Okay.
I started watching Mad Max Fury Road.
Okay.
And I got about an hour into it, and I did it proper. It wasn't like I had it up on my other monitor while I was playing StarCraft or something. I was like properly sitting down, bowl of popcorn, ready to watch this thing. I got about an hour into Mad Max Fury Road and realized that I hated everything about it.
Really?
Like, nothing about that movie appealed to me at all. Everything that happened, by the time I was an hour in, I was going, who cares? I don't care. This is dumb. Of course they're going to do that. This is hackneyed. This is ridiculous. This is over the top. I don't like anything about this.
So I first watched it, and I realized this movie isn't about the plot, because the entire plot is we're going to drive one place. That is the plot of that film. But to go on a similar rant here,
Banshee in the natural, hang on. Banshee in the natural, trying to clear out some of those probes. Nice pull. We're going to force a recall out of Gerald there. It is going to get 4 kills, and most importantly, Ziggy saves it. Oh my god, did you see he recalled his observer there? That is sick.
It's a lot of energy, though, that is used for that recall on an observer that really wasn't doing too much. So I'm happy with Ziggy. He kept that Banshee alive, and that Banshee it's just going to wait. It can be very, very patient. It can get his energy up high, and then when the game... Oh, this is nice here from Gerald, actually. And then when the game opens up a little bit and Gerald's more out on the map, Ziggy will go back in with that Banshee. May even add a second one at some point. That's exactly what he's doing here. Because 2 Banshees... Oh my god, he's going Banshee speed.
Yeah, he's absolutely getting Hyperflight rotors, because that's not his second Banshee popping out of the starport there. That is his 3rd Banshee, Grant. He's adding on the engineering bay behind this to get +1, so he's got some ground army as well. But we're going to see Hyperflight rotors into, and I can't believe I'm saying this, I believe Hyperflight rotors into bio play behind this. Very commonly when you see, well, that's not true, actually. He hasn't committed the 2nd barrack yet. He does have the engineering bay down, but that's okay. The engineering bay just for missile turrets, because he's worried maybe about DTs or... DT's behind this. This is really interesting, and there's the factory. So I was going to say, he thought he was going into bio there. It's just for the DTs, and he's going to be going into Hyperflight rotors, into mech. It's a hyper mech play out of Ziggy. Wow, for a guy who's not feeling very healthy, that's a bold choice.
Yeah, something that we just don't see too much these days. We saw a little bit of mech versus Protoss by Bratok against Shadowne on day 1 of the EU.
We did, and it won, didn't it? That was the game that he won?
It was the game that he won. He did do it again in game 3 and lose, but it was a different style of mech as well. There was no Hyperflight rotors, there was very few Banshees. This seems to be tank, Banshee. I'm very, very curious to see what add-ons get added on here, whether we're going to go for Battle Mech with Cyclones, because that's pretty common, as he does move on to the reactor here. Oh, this is a read. Storm coming in here for our Protoss player. How much does he know? He doesn't have a clue he's playing against mech.
Yeah, he has no idea. Storm's a terrible choice here, I think. Storm doing absolutely jack diddly against mech. These the Hellions and Cyclones way too fast for that Storm to be terrifying. Quick shout out, by the way, to Rotterdam and his boys. Roddy!
Oh, did we get a big raid?
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the B stream of the ESL DreamHack Summer EU Qualifiers. Game 1 here, Ziggy Gerald. It's going to be an amazing day. We got some dope players coming up. Welcome, everybody. Ziggy right now going for Hyperflight rotor mech. Oh, you guys already know this. You've been here for 2 minutes. I'm used to being live and explaining to everybody that just joined what's happening. They've been here for the last 2 minutes. But Roddy, you're an absolute god among men. Welcome, everybody, from Roddy's stream.
Thank you, Kev. Really appreciate that, and a big shout out to that madman for doing so much for me specifically and this scene. Team Roddy all the way. Now we do see these F1 Banshees starting to move out. You can see the speed of them. They are going to be seen though immediately going into cloak to make sure they don't take any damage. The Prism is going to try and hunt them down a little.
Man, I tell you, Ziggy's lost 1 Banshee, so well make it 2 Banshee. Okay, he's going to lose all the Banshees. Never mind. I was just about to say how well Ziggy has done at protecting his Banshees the entire game, and now all of a sudden, blammo, all of them going down. He's got what, 1 left, 2 left, 3 left. That is just not enough. Those Banshees so expensive, and you got to have critical mass of them. Now, they still will add a lot of DPS here, and I will say Ziggy has turtled up beyond belief. This 3rd base, so many tanks out, so safe. He's already in position. There's no way Gerald breaks this without taking massive damage. But so far, Grant, this has been a really low damage game. Like, there have been no aggression from Gerald yet, and Ziggy's minor aggression has been pushed away, defended fairly well. So far, we're almost in minute 10 of this game, and have we seen a single worker unit go down? Okay, we just, those eight probes earlier from the Banshee. There it is, Storm drops
we've seen a few now, Kratos, and 20 workers go down immediately.
Ziggy not paying attention at all.
Oh,
my God, that was terrifying. Now, he did lose the Templar in that attack, both of them, but those Storms taking out 20 SCVs. Man, these players are giving me the caster curse something terrible today, Grant. As soon as I say that Ziggy's been protecting his Banshees, blam, all the Banshees gone. As soon as I say no workers have gone down, double Storm drop in the 3rd.
Can you do me a favor, Craig?
I just need to drink some more coffee and let you take over.
Can you say Grant has never won the lottery, please? Because that
Grant has never won the $34 billion British lottery. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
We do see the 3rd coming in from Ziggy. It is much later than that of our Protoss player, who is already fully saturated with this rich assimilator. So gas income, as you can see, he is now getting 1,300 per minute. That's very healthy. The Archon count can be very high. And I said this in day 1. Archons just don't take damage. They're very strong against mass tank styles, and that's what this is. We are getting a lot of Widow Mines coming in. That's going to be nice. Of course, with the Armory, they are very difficult to deal with Widow Mines. And there's a good amount of Hellions, which can of course become Hellbats as well. Now, Gravitic Drive has just finished, so Prism Speed is now down. I'd expect to see a lot of harassment now coming out of Gerald.
Yeah, I would hope so. He's got a nice contain for the last couple of minutes here. Ziggy finally trying to move out to get his 4th base, but as you said earlier, Gerald is now 2 bases ahead. Oh, the Widow Mine's definitely nailing. Those Storm Drops not going to go any further. That's going to even up the army supply here, but Gerald's still with a solid 20-ish worker supply upgrade, and he is in really good shape this game. As long as he can hold, I think he's going to be A-okay.
Yeah, this command center going to take a lot of damage, and Ziggy's going to really start pushing out here to try and defend it. It will survive. It is burning. I'd expect to see a mule drop pretty quickly to get the repair going. These Banshees are doing so much, though. There's an Observer here, and there are a good amount of Stalkers, but the Stalkers just never could get too much damage on them, and they really tore up a lot of the army. If we look at the resources lost tab here, you can see it's very, very even, although our Terran player has lost 1,000 less gas. 8 High Templars already going down in this game here for Gerald. And Ziggy may have said he was feeling sick before this, but he's playing sick.
He's playing sick, absolutely. So well done here. Little Zealot run by gets cleaned up, not a whole lot of damage. I do want to just point out that we have some really fascinating unit compositions from both of these guys. Very often TVP just turns into, you know, Bio versus Disruptor balls, and it's a pretty easy to commentate. You're just like, well, I hope he dodged the Disruptor balls, otherwise he's in trouble. And if he doesn't, or if he does, then he's great. And our Protoss player's in trouble. But both players with really unusual army comps. We see this tank, a little bit of Marine count, hyper mech, pseudo hyper mech style a little bit up against Gerald, who's adding on a fleet beacon, has some Tempests out, adding on carriers now with a Gateway Immortal Storm. I mean, it's just wild, but dear God, this is a lot of tanks from Ziggy.
There is currently 21 tanks on the field here for Ziggy. And there are carriers on the way, and they're going to be great, but they're not here yet. And right now, I'm a little bit worried for Gerald, because he's got a lot to do. Look at those tanks. This is incredible.
It's one of those really interesting points where, you know, the Terran is going to be swelling in power. As we see him sieging up here on the 4th base, Storm's going down, but they're not going to get everything. The Banshee's dipping out and the Bio dipping out as well. Pre-using the shield battery overcharge a little bit prematurely there for Gerald. One of the interesting times in the map where the Terran player's going to have huge army supply spike, and here we go. Grant, call this fight for us.
We see a few Stalkers trying to blink in on the tanks, but they absolutely decimated the tanks before. The good thing for Ziggy was, instead of moving 1 tank forward at a time, he's able to move 4 or 5. But there's so many Immortals in this, and they're pre-splitting. The Storm's going down on top of a lot of those Immortals to try and take down the Banshees. But these are some speedy boys. They will finally all go down, and Ziggy loses so much. He had 21 tanks. He has 4 now. His army supply is, I mean, it looks okay, but it's really insignificant. It's mainly just a few tanks and a few Hellions. And what do they do against this many Immortals?
This is amazing. We've had so many fights in these EU series so far that have been like 2 or 3 or 4 phase fights where the fight will go really well for our Terran player in the first few moments, and then once it shifts into the second few moments, it goes in favor of our Protoss player. Zealot Warpin getting on top of those Thors, that's exactly what you want against Thors. Those Zealots getting a full surround. 1, 2, Thors going down. That's already huge. The Immortal in the background, and now the carriers have arrived. And you know what's terrible against carriers is Hellions and siege tanks. Thank goodness he's got a Thor, but those Thors have got to focus fire on the carriers, not the interceptors, and Ziggy not really paying a whole lot of attention. His 4th base pushed away yet again. Those bunch of ground units outside the middle of the map right now, just walking away, and the carriers, oh, that poor Thor, look how confused he looks.
Yeah, there's 4 doing everything he can. He's trying to kill interceptors, though, and that's so quick. The pilot's going to end up dizzy.
He's going to get so dizzy.
3 Thors being produced at a time, and carrier production actually seems to have slowed down a little bit. There are 3 on the map. Carrier's really spiking when you hit 5 or 6. We're going to see a recall. Oh, on the flip side, it goes down. We do have a bit of damage by some Hellions, but they will be cleaned up without too much harm. They're only 3 probes, not a fantastic trade. Now, Ziggy's not dead by any means. Upgrade he is a little behind. He's at 2-2 against +3, +2 here for Gerald, all in terms of ships. But these 4, if this 4 count grows, he could be in a good position. How many Immortals are we looking at? Still 6, which is a very good number. But a lot of Widow Mines, a lot of Hellions and things can certainly do some damage to them. 4's attacking big and slow. They're not great against Immortals, and Immortals doing so much damage to them. But I don't hate Ziggy's position. If he can survive a little longer, he's still at 80 workers. He's still churning everything out, but he never started 3-3.
Ooh, yeah, a bit of a mistake there. He'll definitely need to pick that up. You know, Grant, there are a couple compositions in StarCraft that are just so difficult to engage against. Even if you have technically what should counter them. They're just, for some reason, when you get up to massive numbers of carriers or tempests, when you get up to huge numbers of broodlords, when you get up to massive numbers of Thors, it's just so difficult to make that work. And the counter, usually, my joke answer as a caster, if people are like, oh, how do you counter 37 Thors on the map? The answer, jokingly, is you don't let your opponent get there in the first place. And right now, Gerald has been sitting back. He's been sharking away, trying to pick off some bases here and there, prevent expansions. But he has really got to move in very soon, or this Thor number is going to become untamable by our Protoss player, almost regardless of what his composition is.
Yeah, the main thing he needs right now is to deal with this ground army. If he can start to get the ground army down, he's never going to have to worry about carriers at this point. He's already at 10 fours. I don't think I've ever seen 10 fours in a game. He's building 4 more at a time now. He is going to take a little bit of damage to a Zealot drop here. This one Zealot is just going to run around, play Ring Around the Roses, and actually he may even get a little bit more damage done. Oh no, the fours.
When are they going to get terrible players for mine crawlers? Come on.
Yeah. But Ziggy's army is getting there. He is now max. He still has no 3-3 started though. And that could be very, very important if he does end up having to go into more tanks. Everything he has would scale off of that. He still has his armories, right? Yeah, he didn't lose them or anything strange. We do have a fight going down in the north, right?
Yes, we do. A couple Thors getting storm force in their position backward here. The Thors shelling away at the carrier. Carrier 1 down, carrier 2 down as well. But now it's just that core of Immortals that we talked about earlier. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Immortals down. A couple Storms trying to stop those SCVs from repairing the Planetary. But the Planetary is still alive, and the SCVs are still here. This fight going in Ziggy's favor as this core of Thors, along with the Planetary Fortress, are going to drive this back. And that fight looked so much better for Ziggy. Now, he did lose 17 SCVs there, but the Thors are still here. And what's gone for Gerald? He lost his carriers. He lost the bulk of his Immortals here. He's trying to rebuild slowly, but of course, carriers and Immortals take a long time to get onto the map, and with this many Thors, Ziggy could move out and do some real damage if he wanted to. Gerald's been the aggressor for the last 5 minutes of the game, but now I think it's Ziggy's turn, and he needs to move out soon, Grant. He really does. Look at that, 3-3 starting up, finally!
Finally getting that upgrade. We talked about it for a couple of minutes. Now, the best thing for right now for Gerald is his economy. He is mining very, very efficiently. Even with all of these mules being dropped, Gerald is mining almost identical amounts, a little bit behind as they all get very optimized here. Gas income as well, very, very good for him. So he is able to start banking. Look at, he's already got 2,000 minerals. The gas will start going up and up soon as he is producing carriers. He is also getting that Shadow Stride? Shadow
Stride. Yes.
Stride. Ah!
It's because they move very quickly. It's one step they take is a shadowy step. So Shadow Stride. A couple Storms getting those Widow Mines, but not going to do too much damage beyond that. Siege Tank's in a good position here, and Gerald getting chased back from the middle of the map. We see Ziggy beginning to assert that map dominance that we talked about earlier. He's got to establish himself in the middle of the map here, but look at all these DTs in the top corner, Grant.
Yeah, they're getting ready to go in here. Now, there is a missile turret here, and this is a planetary, but the reaction times will have to be unbelievable. If you have a bit of a fight going down in the middle of the map, all of these Thors going, there are going to be some Storms on these tanks, but the Thors are just clearing everything up.
Goodness gracious, those carriers melting like hot butter on a June summer day in Iowa. And we've got the Thors on the high ground now shelling away. There's one carrier left. How many carriers has he lost this game as the DTs move into that 12 o'clock base? But the sensor tower, missile turrets, and planetary are here. Mass repair going down. Not going to be quick enough. Those DTs putting out insane DPS. But here we go. Shadow Stride on top of the tanks. The Thors getting crushed. No. Fight for Gerald there.
Gerald blinked on, so Ziggy threw down a scan in this position, and Gerald just blinked out of it on top of all the Thors. He didn't throw the scan down on top of the Thors, and he wasn't able to get it in time. So how many Thors just died? 21 have gone down in this game in total. That is a lot of Thors. Now, he is still producing them. He still has 4 right now, with a few more in production tab, but Ziggy's army supply has just dropped. His worker supply has dropped. His 3-3 is only just getting towards being completed, and Gerald's had enough. He's going.
Yeah, attack here on the inside 12 o'clock position. There's an attack going on at the outside 12 o'clock position as well. Storm drops onto the mirror lines as well. The 4th is going to go down. That 5th base, the top is going to go down as well. Gerald doing a really nice job of choking out his opponent. That's it. Ziggy has to tap out. GG. And Gerald grabs game number 1.
Yeah, impressive play. I really like what Ziggy did. I know he said before this, guys, and I'm going to reiterate, he's really not feeling very well. Oh my God, and look at those arms. Jesus.
Oh, yeah. I've been doing push-ups on my stream for like a couple of weeks now. My new office isn't large enough to do push-ups though, so I gotta figure out something else to do.
Damn. God damn it, I'm distracted now. Right. I think Ziggy played well. Again, he is sick. He's very sick. And we feel sorry for the guy because I love Ziggy. He's even mentioned on my brand new Liquipedia page that I got today.
Hey, congratulations, buddy.
Thanks. Thanks, Alpha, if you're here.
Somebody was listening to our cast yesterday when I mentioned you could put it on your Wikipedia page. You're like, I don't have one. I was like, somebody fix that right away.
Yeah, so, yep, he's someone I'm very, very fond of. And even getting here has been a massive achievement for him. He got here without doing what he was most known for, which is proxy raxing. And I think if there's ever a time to bring that bad boy out, it may well be right now.
Yeah, he's going to need it, man. Not feeling well. It might be very quick to go ahead and get, might be a very quick win to get those proxy racks out and bring us to a game 3. Ziggy, unfortunately, is probably one of the weaker players in Group B. I mean, we just got to call a spade here. He's a great player, and he obviously in game number 1, very back and forth. And to go toe-to-toe with a player like Gerald is not an easy task. But if you guys haven't checked out Group B yet, you can type !bracket in the chat to see the Wikipedia page for this event. But I mean, really quickly, let me just name some names here in Group B. And Grant, tell me how terrifying this sounds. Petite Drogo, Euthermal, Hero Marine, Shadown, Braddock, Gerald, and Harstom. And then player number 8, Ziggy.
Yeah, I feel a little bit bad for Ziggy. I'd love to see him win a series, and there's certainly some potential for him to do so against players like Braddock and maybe Shadown and even Gerald. Those are the ones he should be looking to win. We have said this before, and we'll say it again. For every series that you win, you make, is it $125 doodles?
That's right. Well, actually, it's actual dollars. It's not dollary dues because we're not playing in Australia.
Damn. I wish we were. Although it feels like it's out. I'm in Australia today because it's so hot.
Oh yeah, I saw a picture of the EU just on fire. Apparently, the entire all of Europe
everywhere.
Dear God, sounds terrifying. But yeah, it's going to be tough. But as you said, yeah, every match win is $125 for our players. So they're definitely going to try their best. I love that, by the way. It's such a nice touch from ESL to make sure that even if the player, you lose your first 4 matches and you're like, why even show up tomorrow? The answer is money. You can absolutely make more scratch showing up and winning those matches. But we're going to get into game number 2 now with Ziggy and Gerald. And it's going to be on one of our new maps, Ice and Chrome. I am absolutely loving this map, Grant.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, Craig. And it's been really interesting in terms of how much we've seen it. It's certainly one of the more common maps. It does offer a lot with these Zelnaga towers. It's relatively short but wide, like me. And we've certainly had some incredible games on it. For now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about this player on the bottom left-hand side. He's a little sick. He needs your support. He needs your love. He is the Polish Terran player. In the blue, it's Ziggy.
And his opponent in the top right-hand side in the red, our Polish Pro Tour player representing Team Exxon. Oh, Team Exxon, some huge pickups these last couple of weeks. It is Gerald.
Mapu stuff right there. It comes to
you're doing so well, Grant. For those of you who don't know, Grant is running our broadcast. He's running our observing. He is just running all kinds of good stuff.
And yesterday we didn't have a great day, I think it's fair to say, in terms of my internet and things. And I got saved, and I'm going to give a shout out here to a Mr. Loco. You may know him, Mr. Simon, because he tweeted something about having some similar issues, and he reinstalled his network drivers, and they fixed it. And guess what Grant did? And guess what seems to have fixed
network drivers.
Oh, yes. So we're now able to stream today in 1080 after some people were asking for it. And
I'm used to when I stream on my own channel, I usually have my webcam up as I'm casting the games, and I'm used to like reacting to things. So I just did a chef's kiss there for your internet, but no, it's not, because I forget that this is a professional stream, and they don't want my ugly ass face taking up real estate on the stream there. Luckily, Ziggy is not wasting any time, unlike us. He is grabbing that Reaper opening, and looks to be very standard so far. I'm excited to see what Gerald goes for here in Game 2. He had a fairly standard Blink opener in Game 1, used it defensively, played pretty conservatively. But Gerald is a player who's not afraid to mix it up sometimes.
Yeah, and I don't think Gerald did notice it was mech until quite late. But he got Storm, and I was really worried that would be useless. Excuse me as I hiccup. He ended up just going for Storm drops onto the workers, which was probably intended to be done anyway, but alongside storming the bio, and he just absolutely destroyed that worker count. He got 20 workers within his first drop, just entirely destroyed the mineral line of the third base of Ziggy, and that was a great response. I expect we'll probably see a Twilight Council again. There's a possibility of a Stargate here on this map. There is some good dead space between the natural and the main. It's not perfect. It's not the best map for it, but no, it is going to be that Twilight Council.
Yeah. forgot to queue his gateway up there. A bit of a minor mistake there from Gerald, but not a huge deal. Yeah, as you mentioned, though, that storm drop was really the turning point in game number 1. Until that point, I think it's fair to say these players were almost even. They were even in workers. They were even in army. Their tech looked fairly even. And game 2, we got to see if they can somebody can pull out an advantage in the early game.
We are going to see Ziggy go for some very, very heavy aggression here. He's got a very quick second rat. This is not a 1-1-1, it's a 2-1-1 with an engineering bay. You can see +1 is starting. He'll be starting to stim off relatively quickly for them to finish at the same time. There we go. And what he's going to try and do is he's going to hit hard. He's going to hit fast with some of these Marines. We'll see more of this opening for the more aggressive Terrans coming out. It's not all in, of course. His worker count will still be, it will be healthy. You can see he's producing a couple at a time still. But he's looking for a bit of blood here. He may even get concussive shells. He will.
You have to in this build. Stim, it should be right at the concussive shells with Marauders popping out of both these Tech Lab barracks. I love this build from Ziggy. This is so much fun. Yeah, he spots that proxy pylon, which isn't the biggest of deals here with the Reaper. But yeah, the concussive shell Marauders are really going to be the story of the day. Wait a minute, hang on. He's not going concussive shells. He's going combat shields instead.
Shields. Okay. Ooh. So he's going to add a couple of Marines in, but a couple of Marauders in, but not rely on them. It's going to be more Marine heavy. And you say he saw this pylon, which isn't a big deal. Do you know what I think it might have been? I think he may have been looking for a Dark Shrine in this location in the not too distant future. And that's why he's hidden it up there, because I can't think of any other reason for you to take a late pylon in a proxy location that isn't for warping in aggressively. I think he was going blink into Dark Shrine.
Ooh, an interesting take, Grant. That's actually quite fascinating. And now, of course, we'll never know because he's not setting that probe up. But the Marine are moving out already from Ziggy. Has he got a factory down? No factory. Ooh. No starport, no nothing. 2 base. It's got to be an all-in, right? Once that natural gets saturated up, he's just going to crank out Marine, and make this work.
Yeah, I mean, I hesitate to call anything an all-in, because if he goes and kills 30 workers right now and is pushed back, of course he's still ahead. He doesn't leave the game because his all-in failed, so to speak. Right now he's about to walk into some pressure, and he's going to love this. Stim is finished, so he could stim, but of course he doesn't want to be stimming aggressively early because he doesn't have medevacs, and they're going to be a long way off as a factory only just now beginning on Ziggy's side of the map. He is going to split his army up. This is nice. Stim coming in. He's going to catch the units here.
Yeah, very nice. Those stalkers from Gerald will go down. A couple of them going to get chased away here. One more blink from Gerald. He should be able to get away. There we go. We'll escape with some of these here. But yeah, as you said, every stim from Gerald is This is one of those builds that sits on the edge of a knife. If you stim just a little bit too much, going to catch the observer. Ooh, doesn't catch the observer. The observer catches him. Anyway, this build sits on the edge of a knife. If you stim too much and your army gets too low, it's very easy just to pick them out left and right. But if they don't stim too often, if they wait until the right time, it's very deadly. So this is going to hit very hard. 33 armor supply to 24. First Colossus not quite going to be ready by the time this hits the front door of Gerald.
If Ziggy goes right now, and we did talk about this yesterday because he did a similar build and he was a little bit hesitant and he didn't go for it, but he is going now, and this is a little bit better. He's going to try and take down the front door. He needs to just go. He has to commit. The Colossus is going to come out, but he can deal with 1 Colossus. Cannot deal with 2 Colossus under shield batteries. He's going to take down the natural. This is the third even. This is a good start. But Ziggy needs to commit to something now. He needs to take the wall down. He's going to go in. He's going to charge forward. He just doesn't have enough. He can't get on top of the Colossus. Too many stalkers here. And he will be pushed away.
Yeah, I was a little worried there because Ziggy did snipe that shield battery, which was a really nice initial pick. That was the only shield battery at the natural. We can see one more being built now. So battery overcharge wouldn't have been available. But yeah, with the Colossus out with some nice micro from Gerald, Ziggy's attack just doesn't have any teeth. The third base being rebuilt now for Gerald. He did snipe that third base, which is great. But third base is on the way from Ziggy. But it's going to be very difficult for him to come out of this. He's got no army supply. And he's a little behind now, I'd say, but not the end of the world, as he did mech behind, or did, build an economy behind us just a little bit.
Yeah, and his upgrades were always going to be good, because he got +1 so early, he's now going to get +1 armor. Did he add on a second eBay? Yes, okay, so he'll be going into 2-2 as soon as this finishes, as his armory is finishing up as well. So Ziggy is definitely playing from a tech disadvantage. His work count is very good, and his tech is good. You know, he has all of those bio upgrades. One thing he doesn't have, though, is any air units just yet. As his first couple of medevacs. Okay, he has 2 medevacs, but he's not going to have any Vikings for a considerable amount of time. And the Colossus count is only going to grow. We're looking at 2 with the 3rd one very soon to pop. He needs to be, at this stage, you feel a Terran player, you want to be adding on your 6th, 7th, 8th Viking. And he's not going to be able to do that. Now, Ziggy's army is still very Marauder heavy. And that's nice. That means he can take some decent fights against the Stalkers and the Colossus. Zealot legs is going to be done very shortly, though, for our Protoss player. And that means Gerald's going to be more comfortable taking fights, because Marauders really don't like stabby boys. And that's what Gerald is hinting towards right now. We have a Prism on the way.
Any one of us who's ever had a crazy ex-boyfriend knows that they don't like stabby boys, Grant. Definitely something to avoid in your real life as well as your StarCraft life, for sure. Gerald has just finished up 5 more gateways, so while the army supplies look fairly even now, Gerald's going to start pulling ahead very easily as he gets more and more rounds of those warp-ins done. His warp prism is finished up. He's going to add that to his army, and now that he can reinforce from the front lines, this should be a really nice position for Gerald to be in. His +1 is finished. His +2 not on the way, so he does need to attack soon or else he'll be at an income disadvantage. But with the warp prism micro these Colossus to add in more units, I think this fight's going to go probably well in favor of Gerald, and already we can see Ziggy stimming to get the hell out of here.
Yeah, Ziggy was maybe considering going for a flank here, and I still think he has that option. I don't think this army in the north side has been scouted and identified just yet. And if he can get behind and get on top of the Colossus, the rest of the army will fall pretty quickly. He's actually going to pull SCVs into 3 Colossus, and now we can see that flank coming in. First Colossus will go down. It's going to be split by the Prism, very cute. Oh, there's just not enough here for Ziggy, I don't think. He's going to deal with the fight. Oh, no. He deals with...
One of those classic mistakes where the player tried to flank but didn't have enough army to separate it out between the two armies for flanking. So instead of getting a nice flank with like a solid army on top and a solid army on bottom, you got like a half-assed flank with half an army on top and half an army on bottom, and both of them just get cleaned up very easily. You didn't quite have the critical mass DPS on either side that you really needed to damage. The first Vikings are coming out now, 2 on the field, 2 more on the way, but now I'm afraid that Gerald is in big trouble, or that Ziggy rather is in big trouble.
Yeah, the only trouble Gerald's going to have is figuring out where to spend all of his dollar bills, y'all. Because it does look like he's going to go home.
Yeah, this is strange from Gerald. I'm surprised he's not pushing here. But he's making weird choices all day, I guess. We'll see if he pops into some of these Stalkers. Disruptors now on the way. +2 coming out from Ziggy. Gerald just getting +1 armor. No second forge yet for Gerald, who's going to start falling behind in the income, the upgrades game very soon.
Yeah, that's one thing Ziggy has going for him, and he is now getting the Viking count. Storm and Disruptors on the way, though, so Gerald feeling very confident. He's getting all of attack. His 4th base is on its way. It was late. 10 minutes for a 4th base is pretty late, certainly. You want to be looking more at the 8:39 minute mark. But Ziggy barely has a 3rd. You can see how much he's oversaturated on this base. Did he build a 4th CC? 3. I'm doing the quick math. No, he hasn't even started that one yet, so... that is going to be a problem. We also have storm drops now lined up. It's going to be very difficult. Ziggy's going to need to micro like a master.
Yeah, he definitely will. Now, look, he's got +2/+2 finished up. Still just 1 forge out for Gerald. So Ziggy's still even on army supply. He's ahead on upgrades. And, of course, Bio is so flexible, man. You get some good dodges in here. You get some good target firing. And Bio can do all sorts of work. But it's, man, I just don't know. He's so far behind economically. And as Gerald's warp-ins really start to power up, his army is just getting so much more terrifying. Most importantly, Gerald has all the different parts of a Protoss army you need. He's got the AoE damage. He's got the storms and disruptor shots to force bad positioning out of his opponent. He's got some zealots to get in on top and do a lot of DPS. He's got stalkers in the background. This is looking very scary here for Ziggy, who's going to have to pull out some really nice micro to engage in this. Now, if Gerald tries to engage into the 3rd base, where Ziggy's already preset and funnel through that narrow choke point, Ziggy may be able to get a nice concave on him, but we're going to have to see if he can do it here, as it looks like these 2 guys are getting ready to engage.
Yeah, definitely. The Observer's seeing a lot about the army placement. I'd like to see the Vikings move slightly further to the north and look for an angle above this high ground. We do see the first disruptor shot coming in. What this means is the Vikings going to be left so open. Another disruptor shot, that disruption never coming in. Doesn't get too much. So far, Ziggy's doing an okay job as the storm drops now come down on his army. He splits very, very late. He stands in the bad weather for a long time. He really doesn't have enough, I don't think. He's trying his best. Another disruption never comes out. He does manage to dodge it, but the Marine Marauder count is so low. Meanwhile, he's lost 21, 25, and that number rising workers. He's going to force a fight here. Disruption never comes in, but unfortunately for Ziggy, it's too little too late, as the fight is not going to go his way. The game is not going to go his way. And Gerald will be taking a quick 2-0. Well, not a quick 2-0, but a strong 2-0 here against Ziggy, eventually, when Ziggy decides it's time to leave the game.
I'll be surprised if Ziggy taps out now, actually. He had some really good flashes of brilliance in that fight. Yeah. So a couple things that we didn't talk about just because there's so much to talk about while the fights are going on. But Ziggy did pick off the Warp Prism early on. The Storm Drops got down, but the Warp Prism went down very quickly, which means it wasn't able to micro any of those Colossus back. That allowed the Vikings and Bio to stay on top of those Colossi and continue to push them back. All the Colossi going down. A lot of the Archons going down. The Disruptors going down as well. And oh my god, Gerald not paying attention there, losing a few extra Stalkers. So Ziggy had a couple of flashes of brilliance, but most importantly and most critically, as we've been seeing in a lot of these very tough fights, is that if you could get into the fight and distract your opponent by killing his army units while you sneak in behind. We saw those Zealots moving straight into that mineral line in the third base and taking out 20 more SCVs in that fight. I think 22 was the final count. That's really the way to win it. And Gerald behind this, adding on a fifth base, adding on more gateways, getting his double robo, more Archons or more Templar coming in, and finally getting up to his +2, +3 upgrades. So while Ziggy does the upgrade advantage and a decent army supply, long term, his economic outlook does not look great. He's like Germany post-war when the Deutsche Mark was at like thousands. It took thousands and thousands of dollars to buy a loaf of bread. I feel like that's where his economy's headed right now for hyperinflation, due to just not enough money actually in the treasury.
Yeah, Ziggy's lost 49 SCVs in this game. Not to mention, has he lost many mules? I don't think they show on the resources lost tab actually, because they don't cost money. But yeah, he has lost so many of his income units. He's still in this. He still has an army. You can see the supplies are very much in favor of our red Protoss player. Ziggy needs to find a fantastic fight or some damage somehow. But Gerald has cannons, he has shield batteries at every base. He's really playing safe because he knows the only thing he can lose to right now is a miraculous doom drop, killing all of his workers or something along those lines. And I really like this from Gerald right now.
Absolutely, queuing up for this secret little Zealot run by. He's got the Dark Shrine on the way for continued harassment, and this is so smart from Gerald, realizing that, hey, I could probably win this game straight up, but I can definitely win this game if I trick my opponent, do some behind-the-scenes SEAL Team 6 kind of stuff, sneak in without him. And so this big attack from Ziggy will come in. We'll see if Gerald's going to reverse course and try and take care of this. He didn't see it coming, but this time the big difference is that Ziggy has ghosts in this army. Advanced Shockwaves is about to finish up, so he may have that by the time this engagement happens. But look at this, huge storms going down, even some feedbacks landing on ghosts. Meanwhile, the Zealots in the main, the Zealots in the natural from Gerald, and Ziggy is just getting torn apart here. He's like Lisa from The Room, where he's tearing me apart.
I'm happy we can go back to The Room after talking about it yesterday or the day before, because, God, disaster. Oh, this was a good movie. But look, Ziggy's economy is in tatters. He's down to 46 workers, and that number's only going to be dropping. This is the only base really mining right now, and it is not even an orbital, so he can't drop many mules anymore, as he's had to take most of them off, I imagine. Oh no, they're still here.
Reinforcements getting picked off one by one. That was a ghost going down for free. Gerald still has units in Ziggy's main. Ziggy's still dropping in the main base of Gerald there as well. The remnants of his army in the main base of Gerald. But there's not that much left, and Gerald, of course, warping in some DTs, some Stalkers to take care of it, and Ziggy down to just 40 army supply here. As we said at the beginning of the day, Ziggy said he was not feeling well, wanted to get this match over with very quickly. My hat's off to him. It's very difficult to play, as anybody in chat knows. It's hard to play StarCraft if your chair is at the wrong height, much less if you are, under the weather. So, a lot of respect to Ziggy for really playing a solid 2 games against Gerald. Both these games going past the 15-minute mark. I mean, that's hard to do, to stay alive that long against Gerald. But it's looking like game number 2 probably going to go in Gerald's favor here.
Yeah, I mean, the Liberator is nice. You want to have those at this point in the game, but he doesn't have anything underneath it. And GG, Gerald